Hi, it's Matt with Get To It Outdoors. Today we came up to Wisconsin. We're coming out to Sturgeon Bay, chasing after some whitefish. Never done it before. So I got my dad with me, got Justin. Say hi, Justin.
What is up?
Yeah, so
We're ready.
We are ready. All right, we spilled a little bit of coffee, but that's all right. We got the trouble out of the way for the day. That's the way I'm looking at it. Now, again, it's never done this before, so we hired a guide. His name's Brett Alexander. I'm going to share with you guys where we go, what we do, the technique, and everything. Because my ultimate goal is to be able to come up here and not have to be with a guide. So stick around, and we'll see you out on the ice. Okay, so we went to. The guide wanted us to meet him at 7690 East Shore Drive at Egg Arbor, Wisconsin. It's a location off of Green Bay, Sturgeon Bay area here. And as you can see, you scroll in, and I think he gave us the address of the house. Obviously nothing to affiliate with him, but you'll see the road right here, and that's access to the water, and many people just park right on the ice right there. All right, we just met up with Brody. He's gonna take us out on this nice little beast here. This thing's heated, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, love it, love it.
Speakers in it. We can blast music.
We were rolling. Nice. So how thick ice would you say there is right now?
Anywhere from like 10 inches to I've had probably 30 plus. Keep them frozen, because otherwise the meat kind of gets mushy if you let it freeze and then unthaw.
Sure.
So it's best to try and keep it frozen once it's frozen. These are setups. This one does not have a slider hook. Sometimes they like that better here. So this will just be a bottom jig. So whoever's using this one, you really don't have to worry about wax worms at all, but the other two both do have slider hooks. So I'll kind of show you how to hook the wax worms too. I always like a couple different rods in every shag, just so each one's a little bit different. All we're trying to do with this guy, so as soon as you drop all the way down to bottom, your jig's kind of sitting like that. So there's, you be on bottom, you have no weight, your slack line. I like to kind of get where I'm comfortable, kind of just pull up right till where it grabs. You kind of see my rod tip bend a little bit, and you see how it kind of grabs its stance like that. So that's when you're feeling you're about to come off bottom, but you haven't quite came off yet. That's right where I want to start my jig. You want to be hitting bottom every time. Excuse me. Biggest thing here, like I said, is hitting bottom. If you're not hitting bottom, that bottom jig will not get eaten at all. You're trying to represent a gobies, and gobies are swimming tight to bottom. I like to do real small hops. There's days where they like a little bit bigger. The biggest recommendation I have throughout the day is kind of change up your cadence just a little bit. Either get a little bit smaller with your jig throughout the day, especially with a fish finder or a live scope like that. It's nice to kind of, if you have one come in and it seems interested in what you're doing, keep doing that. It was interested, even if it leaves, it showed interest in what you're doing. It likes something about it. If you have fish that come in, don't even really look at it and just cruise right on by. Switch it up a little bit, do a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressive, or even maybe slow it down and do a little bit smaller. I'm very weird. I rock when I jig. You don't have to do that. I like to almost hold my rod like a pencil, just because then I don't have to use my wrist at all. I can use my elbow, and it seems like I can get the most feel that way. There's days, especially on those slider hooks, where it'll be a super light bite, and they'll just come up and just peck it, and it'll be a little tink. it'll almost feel like you had like a bluegill hit, and all of a sudden you set the hook and there's weight there. Hook sets are free out here. I've missed the fish 7 different times and caught them on the eighth bite. You're not going to really scare them by setting the hook if they just come up and tap it. They'll come back, especially if they're hungry. They'll come back, and if you feel anything different down there, I don't care if it's a rock. It's the only time I will not be mad at you if you snap my rod is if you snap it on the ceiling trying to set the hook on the fish. Won't actually be mad either way. I just always like to stress that point very hard.
Yes.
I'll drop this guy down and kind of show you on the bottom here. But I'll kind of let you get a look at our other rig. So that one is just a lead rig. I got a slider hook right there on it and another one right up above. So there's 2 slider hooks on that one. This one's a Meeks jig with just 1 slider hook. I always like to have a couple different in here, just obviously you never know what they want to eat. Sometimes you're going to want that wax worm, and if he's got that rod that day, he's going to whack the shit out of them. There's days where they do not want that slider hook at all, and if he ends up with that rod, he's going to whack them all day. So I like to have them kind of all in here, and once we figure them out, then switch things
And all
up.
these jigs are the bottom jigs mimicking the goby.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to represent with all of those. Kind of same thing I was showing above ground, but I can kind of do a little bit more flashy here because I don't have to worry about slapping somebody with the jig. There's my bottom. I'm slackline. I'm going to pull up, grab right where it gets tight right there. Like I said, I'm weird, and you don't have to do the rocking motion. It's just so I can keep everything stiff and really feel everything. You can kind of, I almost say, make circles with your rod tip forward like this. Kind of really helps you grab that feel of what it feels like when you're hitting bottom, what it feels like when you're coming off bottom. I mean, that is the thing I will stress all day, is really focus on learning what that feels like before you try and learn how to jig. I mean, if you have to, sit here and just rip it up and get back down to where you know bottom is and feel what it feels like to grab it when it's not on bottom, feel what it feels like to, when it slaps bottom, feel what it feels like to come off. That is the biggest piece of advice I have for anybody, is really learn what it feels like when the jig's hitting bottom. Every rod's a little different. Some are stiffer, some are more sensitive, so every rod has a little bit different feel to it. So even when I start off my day, that's the main thing I focus on, is what this rod is going to feel like. But so like if I was going to do quick little hops, this is kind of the speed I'm being at, just tap, 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 tap. Sometimes I like to do a little bit of almost like a ladder hop, where you're kind of jigging up twice and letting it drop back down and fall down on its own. If I haven't seen one in a while, then I'll really get aggressive with it, especially with the live scope. It's nice, you can see far out and see when they're coming in, but as soon as they're in, you want to be hitting bottom, tapping bottom, actually jigging. You don't want to be kind of ripping like that. We're not walleye fishing, they're not aggressive like that. It's just real small taps. A lot of times I'll see them come up to my slider hook. It helps when you have a graph, and if I see them come up to my slider, there's days where all of a sudden they'll just want a little pause. And just a quick 2-second pause. If they don't hit it right away, just right back to jigging. Especially if they turn away as soon as you pause, don't do it again. Yeah. Keep tapping, they'll turn back around.
Feel like a nice fish?
You got your grabbers now?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel much.
We didn't even get set up yet. We already got one on. Good signs. All right. First fish of the day. Here we go.
Yeah, on the beam off too. I'm kind of warm.
Okay. What am I doing? What am I doing here?
Good, man.
Yeah, you were going to stop me doing that.
Looks like he snagged him, actually, the way he's flopping. I don't know, unless it's nice.
He's fighting pretty
sideways.
good.
All right.
Nice. Now you got the slider hook.
Yeah, that's
Justin needs a slider.
Well, we'll wait a little while and I'll request it from him.
Okay. Well, Matt's got 2 on his. So what was your cadence, Matt?
Walking them, hopping them.
Did he hit the higher one or the lower one?
Lower one. Okay, the fish weren't coming in steadily, so I wasn't able to keep the camera rolling. And often, well, as you guys can see, I can never get a hook set on camera because they'd come in and then they would end up smashing the bait after we figured out the cadence before the camera would turn on and start recording. Cadence.
Real slow, barely, almost dead sticking.
No, making the, here he comes.
That's a nice one too.
So I had the plastic still touching the bottom.
Just barely bouncing the bottom, barely looking at it.
There we go.
Okay. Oh yeah.
He's thumping.
He's going like this. Swing, 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 swing. He's a decent one.
Feels bigger than my first one. Just taking my time and pull it out.
Oh yeah.
Is that what's up?
Shit.
Oh, I ain't touching your. I ain't gonna be responsible for that. There we go. Oh, it's not that. It's all right. Okay. Yeah, we hit the bottom.
It took out to be over 8 hours, so I used it and turned it into a compliment.
Fish on, bro.
See, that's what happens. You just talk to me. Who has it?
I do. I think I got the hook set on camera too. That'd be the first one hook set we were able to get on camera. Another beast.
This is
Fish on it, Donkey Kong. Keep getting it like I'm gonna get whacked in the face with the rod as I'm trying to look down the hole.
yeah.
I didn't even see him down there.
Right now.
I thought I seen him, but
There was one.
Oh really?
Yep. I had a bump.
Oh yeah, he's fighting good, dude.
You're still at 15 feet for you. Ten feet. 6. 4.
I think this one's bigger than the minnow.
that's the biggest one.
I don't know about that. Yeah, these are great. Bring these. Just pull those slimy fish through that
You gotta tell the guy
11-inch hole. Okay, our guide said that it was a slower day and that we had done the best on the ice out of all 40 shanties that they had out there. Now, I have a feeling that they tell that to all the boys, but regardless, we don't know whether that's true or not. It was just a slow day, and that's why we paid for a guide. Now, if we went out on our own, would we have done any better? Who knows? One thing I would recommend if you do a guide, bring your own tackle. You know, it was advertised that he had his own, he would supply the bait, the rods, and the jigs, and everything needed. We just need to bring ourselves and our Wisconsin license. Well, we found ourselves very quickly wishing that we had our own bait or our own jigs, because even some of the rods, they just were very aged and just not as what I like to fish with, basically. And as we're trying to find out what cadence was going to work or what was going to draw the fish in, there was a lot more fish that would come in and just look at our bait and swim away. So we would have switched to a jigging Rapala, a jigging spoon, or something that more resembled a goby than what we had. They were showing, and I kind of showed it on the video what it was, but this is essentially what they were having us use, except with a black jig head. But that's essentially what they had us use, and not tipped with bait or anything. They didn't recommend that. Now this is the jigging process, that cadence that I was able to figure out that seemed to work. When we first got here, we were jumping it up like this off the bottom, you know, maybe about 3 to 4 inches, and we'd bring them in, and they would swim around and then just not really get any action from it. They didn't eventually swim away. So then as we were getting more into it, we're like, well, we got to change up the cadence a little bit. And so we had one come in, and so what I started doing was lifting it up slightly where the tail was still on the bottom, just enough like this, and then walking it within the hole from one side to the other, turning it around like that. And lo and behold, that's what we ended up getting bites on. The other thing that we had wondered about was everything I had saw was you want to try to set up over a rocky formation or some type of structure. I mean, it seemed that we were on a sandy bottom where we were at, and they said that we were only 50 yards away from a break where it was kind of a dramatic drop off. And I had my live scope with me and was trying to scan around, and we were stuck there. We didn't have an ice auger or anything. We couldn't move the ice shanty, so we were kind of stuck there. And as I was looking around with the live scope, I could not see no dramatic change in depth or anything. And they said we were placed right on that edge, and that would cause the fish to use that as a normal way of travel. But I didn't see anything that would support what they were telling us. So if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. I hope this answers some questions for you. I would like to give it another go on my own and see if I can get into it based off what I had learned in my experience up there and the cadence that I figured out. And hopefully we can get into them a little bit more. See you guys later.